Welcome back to Network Africa. The United Nations Children's Agency, UNICEF, has warned of increased cases of acute malnutrition as drought conditions in Somalia worsens. Earlier this month, the Somali government reported that some 110 people died in southern Somalia in 2 days from famine and diarrhea as a result of the drought.
The United Nations Children's Agency, UNICEF, says cases of children suffering from malnutrition are set to increase in Somalia as the country battles to deal with a devastating drought that has killed off livestock, leaving the Horn of the African nation facing the possibility of famine. Here at a clinic in Bardoa, healthcare workers are treating children suffering from acute malnutrition due to drought.
Today, what we are treating in here is around 70 children. Those are severely acute malnutrition. And what we see in here, day by day, it is increasing.
According to UNICEF, cases of acute malnutrition for children under the age of 5 are expected to reach 944,000 this year. Nuni Morlim brought her 11-month-old child, Yusuf Hassan, for treatment at the clinic. My child was sick several times before he was admitted. There is not enough food at home, and he lost his appetite, then stopped eating. That's why he became the way he is. But our biggest problem is food. We have nothing. Latest statistics indicate that about 6.2 million people, half the total population in Somalia, are in need of humanitarian aid, and almost 3 million of them are facing crisis and emergency levels of food insecurity. Famine last struck pockets of Somalia in 2011, killing 260,000 people. It was caused by drought, conflict, and a ban on food aid in territory held by Al-Shabaab. Health centers say they have been recording increasing cases of malnutrition in recent months. He started getting sick with diarrhea and a high fever, so I left my other children at home without anyone and rushed him here. My husband is deceased. The drought situation is very bad and the size of my family is big. There used to be a market near our home, but the price of food is now very high and we cannot afford food. For 3 years, we couldn't farm, so we have all become weak. Aid workers are asking for $825 million to provide aid to 6.2 million Somalis, about half the country's population.
Meanwhile, the African Union Chair, Musa Faki Mohammed, has concluded a 2-day visit to South Sudan, where he visited Ganiel town in Unity State to assess the humanitarian situation there. Parts of the country have been hit by drought and famine, and at least 5.5 million people are expected to become food insecure by July this year.
The African Union Chair, Musa Faki Mohammed, was accompanied by various United Nations officials on the trip.
Thank you. Welcome to
Mr. Mohammed was on a 2-day visit to the country where he toured Ganiel in Unity State to assess the scale of humanitarian challenges there. Last month, the UN declared that parts of the country are experiencing famine, the first time the world has faced such a catastrophe in 6 years.
I
had the opportunity of traveling inside the country, and I went to Ganiel. And I have seen for myself the humanitarian work that has been done by the humanitarian actors in order to help those who are suffering, who have been victims of famine. This famine is a direct consequence of the instability and insecurity situation in the country.
The world's youngest nation has been mired in civil war since 2013, when President Salva Kiir fired his deputy Riek Machar, sparking a conflict that has increasingly split the country along ethnic lines. U.S. monitors say they found President Kiir's government is mainly to blame for the catastrophe in his country. Mohammed, who was elected chair of the 54-nation body this year, also denounced the killing of 6 aid workers in an ambush in South Sudan on Saturday who were traveling from the capital Juba to the town of Pebble.
Regarding the humanitarian front, I would like to first say we denounce and condemn the killing of 6 humanitarian workers who are working to help the people. And we at this occasion called on the government and all the parties to respect and to protect humanitarian workers who come to help affected populations.
South Sudan's government has promised to work with the AU on resolving the crisis.
We will work with the AU, and I'm glad the new chairman has a focus and taken South Sudan as a priority. Negative forces must be declared as such so that they can be pursued, because they are working against humanity. They are causing crimes against human beings, and they cause famine. They obstruct roads. They kill people.
The African Union has been criticized in the past by the UN Commission on Human Rights in South Sudan for making itself complicit in South Sudan's bloodshed by failing to set up a court to try atrocities.
We're taking you over to Egypt, where on the narrow streets of Cairo, traditional watchmakers are determined to keep their craft ticking along. This comes despite a fall in demand for their handmade goods that were once worn by Cairo's nobility.
In the ancient, cobbled streets of the Khan al-Khalili Bazaar, customers tired of the throwaway products of the digital age come looking for the sense of history and permanence that an antique timepiece can provide.
Our customers are here and bored of modern things, as they have them in excess where they come from, because most of our customers are Europeans. So these antique watches are extinct there. So when they see these old watches that are still working, they like them because they remind them of their dads and granddads. And they like to own them for their children and grandchildren to inherit after them.
When he was younger, Hussein was intrigued by the complexity of clockwork and taught himself how watches work. Now he only works on old watches.
A new watch consists of a new face, hands, and a battery. And the fault always falls into one of these categories. So whenever something doesn't work, one piece is removed and replaced by another. But an old watch is filled with many wheels, and every wheel has a specific number of teeth and has a specific thickness and height. So old machines are beautiful in their sound and the way they work, and they can last 100 years.
Another watchmaker's shop nearby, founded by a Bulgarian Jew in an era of British occupation, is itself a century-old relic of clockwork's golden years.
This shop was built in 1907 by Salman Anayat, a Bulgarian who was living in Egypt, and it brought watchmaking and mending to Egypt. And of course, as it gained popularity, Egyptian politicians started coming to him, including King Farouk and the royal family. And he became the man to go to for the British Army to make and fix watches.
The legendary musicians of the past that the shop once counted among its customers, including virtuoso Farid al-Atrash and singers Abdel Halim Hafiz and Haltoum, are testament to the industry's glittering history.
And that's it on Network Africa. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Temitope Fagbemi.